Welcome back to Allied Bullies TV, and we have a special guest joining us today. He's the man behind the Judgment Day 20K Stack Off Dog Show right here in Ohio. Last year, that dog show was at the IX Center, and the turnout was phenomenal. Internationally known in the bully community, please welcome to the show legendary bully camp, Mr. Wade Elliot. Let's start off by talking about this incredible event that you have brought to the Ohio area, the Judgment Day $20,000 winner takes all stack off dog show. How did this event come together, and who are some of the people behind the scenes that are helping to make this event possible?
So thank you. This came about literally as a joke in my kennel with myself, Richard Price, Joseph Robertson, my grandson, and Hans Berquist. And we were just joking about if we're going to throw a show, go big or go home. And Rick said, "Are you sure you want to do this? Because if only 100 people show up, you still got to give away 20 grand." I'm like, "Listen, if 100 people show up, if 10 people show up, we're going to give away 20 grand to the best dog in the building." So that's how it started off last year. This year, a lot of people behind the scenes are really trying to make this event put on for Ohio and the American bully community. The exotics, the Frenchies, the micros, behind the scenes people. I got to give props, of course, first and foremost, my wife, Vicky Elliott. She makes the wheels turn. She's the numbers girl. Secondly, I definitely got to thank Richard Price for still pushing it, even though him and Jeremiah are doing the 10K micro stack off at the 20K. And Nate from the Bully Broadcast, pushing a lot of people to engage and to support somebody who's trying to do something better for us. That we're tired of the politics and seeing ribbons and trophies. So let's put some cash and let the dogs do the talking.
Right. What you just said, the 10K, that
Yes.
was added on to the show this year. It's,
Yep.
it's gonna be
So now,
10K for what, like micros and
yes, 10 inches to 13 and 7/8, I think, is what we're going to do. So far, we've got James Branham, owner of Stan Lee, producer of many fun American Bullies, especially in the micro class over the last decade. He's going to be judging the class, um, and we're looking for a second right now, but to be determined.
all right. I noticed you were on the list for top 20 worldwide shows for 2023. You know, there are shows like Rumble in the Jungle, Throw by June Williams, the Frenchie Bowl, the ABR Wow Factor, and so many other big dog shows on that list. How did it feel to make that list after throwing your first show?
You want to talk about humbling? Thank God, thank God that it all went off without a hitch. We didn't have any, no drama, no outside of the normal stuff, following the show on Facebook or on Instagram. But the people that put this list together, I can't thank you enough. Um, to be included in that list was monumental because it meant we had to do it again no matter what. We've got to do it again. And this time, instead of Cleveland, it's Akron. It's 40-minute difference. It's not anything out of the norm, because it's still the same size venue. It's still 60,000 square feet. So we're very grateful. We're very appreciative and very humbled by being on that list.
Now, this year's event is going to be at the Summit County Fairgrounds, correct? Is
Yes.
that going to be an outdoor venue, or do they have indoor there as well? Or
It is indoors, climate controlled. It is in the arena building, where they normally hold, the monster trucks, the dirt bikes. There've been a few AKC, UKC shows thrown in there. So we've already got, the layout. We know what's going where. That's why we also made it this year to where we're treating the janitor the same as the CEO. There is no ringside booth. There is no VIP booth because, I mean, essentially they're all on the floor level, except for the ones that we put up on top of the mezzanine. So it's $300 to be quote unquote ringside or quote unquote VIP, and it's 150 to be up top. I don't think that's outside of the realm for anybody to be able to afford 6 months away.
Right. That's a good thing, man. Like you said, like, you know, you ain't putting nobody before nobody else. You're making everybody have a chance to feel special when
Yeah.
they come out to the show.
Right.
Um, is there anyone that you talked to and got some knowledge or advice, you know, prior to throwing your first dog show, on maybe like the ins and outs, the do's and don'ts, and you know what the procedures would be for throwing a dog show?
That's an extensive list. I mean, I talked to Ron Ramos, Papa Pitt. We talked to Andre and Rebecca Pogue because they've done it for a decade here in Ohio with the Ohio Bully Showcase, 2 shows a year. Rob Korn for the show that he and Rachel Goins threw in Wooster, Ohio, like 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago now. We talked to several people that gave us insight, gave us recommendations. You know, a few things we took into consideration, a few things we said that's not something we want to do. So, you know, we just tried to make a conglomerate best effort to make it very streamlined. And a lot of the feedback last year was one of the most streamlined shows they'd seen. And most of that credit goes to my wife and our team, Carol, her daughter Samantha, Tom, Angela, Kent, Ashley, Julianne, and Dave. You know, they really did come together and really it really was a team effort. I mean, it was pretty streamlined from the go, but like Cunningham being in the ring with us, that was priceless. Loner Boy, um, you know, they really helped us get the ring steward part down pat.
Right.
That was probably the most unfamiliar portion for us, but yeah, it was awesome.
I noticed a lot of notable people in the dog community on this year's flyer for the Judgment Day 20K Stack Off Dog Show. Who are some of the hosts that may be going to be hosting the event this year? And also, who are some of the judges that's going to be at the event? And maybe, you know, some other notable people that's going to show up there.
Well, the notables so far, for people that Mike Huff, June Williams, you know, Mike Diego, those are going to be our MCs. June's also going to do a little judging for us on the exotic side. Danny and Tia Leal with Crossroads Bullies, they're going to be doing some exotic and Frenchie judging for us. Um, uh, Thaddeus Robinson, Jason Yohe, they're going to handle a lot of our bully stuff. Gary Watson is coming from Michigan to do the Merle Talk. Um, Trying to get Daquan Jackson out as well to help with some of that. I'm trying to think of all of the people though. Lou Manapon and Papa Pitt, Ron Ramos will be our 20K stack off judges. Um, as far as notables coming out, Sam Leem has already committed. Um, Philip Wilcox with Cowboy, Mr. Birdsong with Patriot. Notable camps, we are, you know, just like last year, we had 87 dogs. John Gueco is probably coming back. Litters, you know, considering if he has anything going down there, it'd be the only thing to hold him up. But we should see Master Poe return. We're definitely going to see Zach Robbins and Trapzilla return. Um, you know, pretty much the heavy hitters that you expect to see, we expect to see in the building. It's still 6 months out, so
Right.
there's plenty of Canelos coming out, of course. Um, Larry Killians with G Force, the China Boy. Um, there's pretty much every blood hitter. Bashar Daoud, of course. You know, last year there was a little hiccup with Nemesis caught his toe trying to get on the plane, and you know, but um, Bashar definitely is going to make an appearance this year. So we look forward to everybody from every walk. That's why we brought in the people we brought in, is so there is literally something for everybody. If you're an exotic breeder, if you're a Frenchie breeder or a bully breeder, whether it be micros, whether it be pockets, whether it be extreme, whether it be standard, there's something at this show for everyone. Just like last year, I mean, Christina White with Mr. White, she won the $1,000 Frenchie stack off. Stan Lee, James Branham won the exotic stack off. It was $1,400. And then now this year, Jeremiah Fry, Chris Holman, and Richard Price, they're putting up 10 grand for the micro class. So there's going to be probably close to $50,000 this year given away at this show.
Right. Everybody I've been talking to behind the scenes, for as breeders and what have you, they all been telling me they coming out to that show, man. That's why I'm like, I gotta be there. I'm gonna be there in the building doing my thing. I'm planning on getting the booth and setting up, and I'm gonna be, doing live interviews with people during the show and things like that. I'm also gonna, get footage of the show and, make a little thing of it. But like I said, I've been speaking with a lot of people behind the scenes, and people are already excited. And it's February, and the show is in September. So I think it's gonna be a big turnout, man. And I think anybody that's in this dog community that got anything to do with dogs, whether you a dog owner, breeder, trainer, groomer, whether you sell dog products or whatever you do, that's gonna be the place to be September 21st, 2024. Um, I want to talk about that 20K stack off. What are the requirements and what would someone have to do if they wanted to enter that 20K stack off?
So last year the requirements were just an overall extreme features on a bull front stack only. So I wanted to pay homage in doing this to how it all started, which was a bunch of guys show up to somebody's camp or to the park, and it started out with well, who's got the biggest head? Well, then next year they all get together and well, now everybody's head's the same damn size. So, well, who's got the biggest chest? And so on and so forth. And then it went to neck, and then it went to the dome or to the bone. So for us, it is a front stack only. It is not a conformation show.
Right.
You know, the four measurements, the way that it's going to be this year. Israel Vargas, shout out to him and his verified canine camp. All dogs are going to be measured. So we're going to measure the bone. We're going to measure the chest spread. We're going to measure the neck. We're going to measure the head. And we're going to take those four numbers and divide it by the height of the dog to the withers. So all dogs will be verified. There will be no more, my dog's got a 28-inch head,
Right.
and it's actually only got a 25-inch head.
Right.
And this is all going to be done by verified canine, and there's no extra fee for that. It's included. But all you got to do, if you've got a couch potato that's, sitting there just looks amazing, bring them out. It's $20 for a chance at $20,000. So if you don't get a booth, it's $20 at the door, $20 for your dog, and then another $20 to enter the stack off. $60 for a chance at 20 grand. You have no idea what that could do for your camp, for your life. Trust me, winning this you can ask Roger and Dina Stout. Everything you see on their social media, he is Mr. 20K. 7 won the 20K stack off, and it's not grand champion Mr. 20K 7. It's Mr. 20K himself, grand champion 7. Right. So that title alone gives you a whole year's worth of bragging rights around the globe, and they'll tell you what it's done for their camp. Trust me, Dina, she broke down crying when they won. It was amazing. It was a great moment. But that's all. It's a front stack only. Head, neck, chest, bone. An extreme bully front stack only.
Right. 20K will definitely change somebody, life out here. And like you said, the exposure behind winning the 20K stack off and being able to put that in front of your dog's name, marketing your dog throughout the whole year until, next year. So you're gonna pick up a whole lot of, exposure that you're looking for.
And even if your dog doesn't win, even if your bull is out there competing, that's why we really did stress there are no losers, because like Master Poe barely not barely, but didn't make it to the finals. He barely missed winning, but he still walked out of there with almost 14 lock-ins. I mean, 14 lock-ins still a lot. And the
Right.
networking and the exposure of being on that stage stacked next to these top-notch, top-tier bulls gives you a platform of networking that you might not have had access to previous to this show. So it's just an opportunity for you to get out there, like everybody says, get outside, let people put hands on your dog and see them, and you're not going to lose even if you don't win the 20K. Trust me.
Yeah, that's what a lot of guys don't realize, they think like, just going out to a dog show. A lot of people be concerned with the politics of a particular dog show, and yeah, I don't want to go out, but people need to get out to these dog shows because you could do so much networking there, man. You could rub elbows with so many different people, and being able to network with different people open up a whole lot of other doors for you.
A whole lot.
Um What are some of the other categories people can enter for as in the fun show? What's the fun
Oh,
show
mercy.
categories?
The fun show categories, so they haven't been cemented yet, but of course, there's going to be best bossy, best babe, best Veneno, best Rockomania, best Grim, all the bloodlines, best crown, whatever. China Boy, there's gonna be, baddest bitch in the building. There's gonna be, Gary Watson's gonna have the Merle talk, so there's gonna be your Miss Merle competition, and that's for all breeds. It's not just American Bullies. Merle talk is, you got a Merle Frenchie, you got a Merle Exotic, you got a Merle Oldie, whatever the case might be. They can all enter. And there's going to be several other categories, like there was 32 last year, 34, I think. Um, and we're working on it. But there's definitely, there's a best XL, there's a best top line, best angulation, but it's not confirmation. The fun show has nothing to do with confirmation stats whatsoever. The junior handlers, listen, these kids last year walked out with so many prizes, but this year they got something big coming, and I do apologize. I can't let you know the details yet, but trust me,
Right.
these kids, the kids that win the junior handler shows this year, ooh, I wish somebody would have gave me the opportunity. I wish.
Yeah, it was a guy that I just had on to the show maybe I think 2 episodes ago, 216 WB, and he was on the show saying that he wanted to get his daughter into doing like junior handling. So I'm hopefully he see this and
Yeah,
he make it out to the show this year and maybe enter his daughter into the junior handler competition.
yeah, it'd be great.
Um, let's steer things in a different direction for a minute. The muscle tone bloodline. How did you get introduced to that bloodline, and what made you want to start using the muscle tone blood?
So the introduction was just Googling, just years ago doing the research, but there wasn't a clear direction or path to muscle tone in our area that I was aware of, at least at the time. Now I know it's all over the place, but um, I wanted to have some blood that was an available outcross, because what I started to see very heavy in the Midwest in our region was, 4 times Rocco, 5 times Graham, and we need an outcross somewhere that's a solid bloodline that's been producing extreme bulls for years. So, that's just the vision I had. That's where I went, because as everybody knows, I started with XLs. Um, but I wanted to get back to a bullier bull. I wanted the more extreme look. So I went after Bashar, and we got Fuji.
Right. Is Bashar someone you would consider to be somewhat as a mentor? Do you reach
Absolutely.
out to him and get any advice?
Yeah, absolutely. On a constant basis. You know, whether Jeremiah still wants to refer to him as my dad or not. Bashar and I have a great working relationship and a great friendship as well. He and Trisha and my wife Vicky and I, when we hit shows, we hit dinner, but more importantly was, this foundation of trust and consistency. Um, because whether people feel good, bad, or indifferent about Bashar, you cannot look at 20 years of history and say he doesn't know what he's doing.
Exactly. Bashar has created amazing dogs, whether, like you said, people want to give him credit for that or not. He has created amazing dogs, and not only has he created amazing dogs, but he has also, changed the scale far as like, selling dogs. He
Oh,
has
absolutely.
sold dogs for five figures, six, seven figures, and things like that. Not saying, money is everything. That's not what everybody in it for. But he has changed the scale of the game in the American bully community.
By
But
far, by
um,
far, we've come to a point, I think, in the bully community that, in I think it was 2014, maybe 2016, I can't recall, but the standard was rewritten based on, I believe it was Mr. Bean, or it might have been Magoo at that time. But I mean, that's what the ABK standard was written on, was a muscle tone dog, and it hasn't changed. So for people to take a look at that and say, well, the blood, is still here. It's still doing the damn thing because Grand Champion King Kong, champion this, champion that. It's the productions are there, and quite obviously are going to be, a figure in this community for eons to come, probably. I mean, you can't knock the blood, but it's not to say it's better than anybody else's. It just produces consistent results.
correct. Um, what are five key traits that define an impressive extreme bully in your opinion?
In my opinion, the front is as wide as the rear. If if that rear matches the front, that's the epitome. That's what you're trying to produce every time. But you know, just like the standard says, an overdone, muscular, structured dog. So you're looking for a big head, you're looking for a big neck, you're looking for that wide gait for them shoulders, you're looking for that rear to be just as wide as the front, and you're looking for that to all be in line and symmetrical almost. Which is, there is no perfect dog, but for my five traits for an extreme bull, it's got to have muscle, it's got to have chest, it's got to have bone and dome, and it's got to have a good thick rear, and it's got to be able to move. You know.
Yeah, that was gonna be my next question. I was gonna ask you was, it having all of those different traits, do you expect it to still have good and beautiful movement as well?
You expect it to, but what I've seen is, a lot of times you get the dog is an extreme bull is so front heavy. Sometimes you get a little wrist flip. It doesn't mean it's going to gait like that in the ring all the time. Most of our ring dogs can be trained, but with the extreme bully class, I think you're looking for something that can still jump, something that can still go up and down stairs by itself. It doesn't have to be carried. Um, that's an expectancy on, at least for my part in it. Um, but they're out there, you know, they're out there.
Yeah, that's a thing I done heard, people complaining about or saying, oh, these dogs have to be dragged around the ring and things like that. But I'm not really too I don't have a lot of information on extreme dogs, should I say that? I'm just going off of what things that I hear, over the internet and things like that.
In my experience, like, I mean, Fuji runs with my standard Capone, and the other females, Reina, Abyss. I mean, he runs right beside him. He doesn't get out of breath. He doesn't have to lay down. Um, but at the same time, you get him in the ring, and you don't have to drag him around. That lead gets a little tug, and he's floating right alongside you. So for me, I don't have that experience.
Right. I think, more people need to bring these dogs out to show, and quiet the naysayers down. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? And let them
yeah,
know, like, hey, these dogs can move. These
yeah,
dogs can get out here. They can run after balls, like you said. They can jump up on top of things, and they can move with the best of them.
yep, yeah. I mean, I've seen a 13-inch dog jump up onto a 5-foot table. Trust me, they're not, just because they're extreme doesn't mean they're not functional.
Right, right.
Yeah,
I done seen I saw a video of a small exotic, and they much smaller than the
yeah,
extreme, but this exotic had extreme features,
hmm
and it could move, man. It was
right.
moving,
Yeah,
it was jumping up steps and all type of things. I was amazed by
that
seeing that small dog doing that.
that's the blood we want to keep incorporating, in our programs too out here for the newer breeders. Look at that movement. Make sure that it's not, you know 10 minutes outside and especially in Florida heat versus Ohio heat. It's two different things.
Right.
So pay attention to what climates you're moving these dogs to as well.
Speaking of, what we talking about right now, what are some of the top health issues in the extreme style bully dogs, and how could one prevent these issues?
Hmm. I don't see a lot of health issues because all our dogs are tested. Whether it be OFA, whether it be embark. I don't see a lot. I see a lot online where people aren't aware of the science to look for. I think general education, one, is just poorly distributed because I think a lot of people go off what their cousin's uncle's boyfriend said last Tuesday instead of actually like doing some research, talking to a breeder, asking your vet numerous questions. And some of these vets, they're doing their best, but it's still a new breed. They don't have all the answers yet. People also like to talk about Embark. Embark only has a pool of, maybe let's say the last 8 years to go from. Give them some time. The markers are there, but give them some more time. The markers will be even better. So I think health testing, number one, is got to be at the forefront, but education has to be right there with it because it's just a lot of misinformation out here and a lot of wrong directions. Um, how many dog shows I've been to, but you see a dog having a heat stroke, it loses bowel movement, it loses bowel control. So if your dog, just starts peeing on itself on its side or loses its bowel movement, lemon juice, alcohol, those are the only two things that are going to work. That lemon juice clears the palate and the esophagus so it doesn't choke on its own spit. People don't understand that. Um, the alcohol, you don't pour water on a dog having a heat stroke or ice cubes. It does the exact opposite. It will completely send that dog into shock and you're not saving it. That's just one thing, but people don't know that. They just inexperienced and uneducated to the what to do's if. Another thing is, in my experience, is there's a few out there I've seen that could use a palate surgery. And it's very inexpensive and it's not, the end of the world. It's not going to ruin your dog if you had it have a palate surgery. It's going to help your dog live a better life. It's not that frowned upon. It's just not something we want to continue to see produced to where it gets so bad it can't be fixed.
That's what I was about to ask you was, having a palate surgery, that'll fix the situation, but is that something, moving forward breeding, you maybe want to pay attention to in the blood
Absolutely.
for, as is this a continual thing where this dog is continually throwing this, or
Right.
his offspring is continually throwing this, then you maybe want to, move in a different
Right,
direction.
right. That's where being a more responsible, more ethical breeder comes into play of keeping track of your productions, getting updates from your clients and those family members that you put dogs with, are they doing the right things by the dog? Are they giving you the feedback you need to know what your blood did? Um, those are things that are on you, as the breeder to take heed of, and like you said, maybe Maybe can we fix this with a different female or a different stud, or who does this trait come from? Then that can also be diagnosed with testing. It's just stuff you've got to do the extra step on, and trust me, it'll pay out in dividends. It will. It's this game is not a quick hustle. This is the long run.
Say it again,
This
man.
is not this is not a quick money grab. This is for the long run, and that's listen. Uh, in 3 years, I guarantee you, I'm in probably half a mil on these dogs. Easy, easy. And not to say we don't sell pups for $10,000, but that's operating costs. That's literally operating costs. You don't see us. Excuse me. 20 years from now is where the true magic is. Being able to see 20 years down the road and what that end result looks like, and setting 5-year goals, setting 1-year goals, setting this breeding goals. Not, yeah, this is a fire ped with a fire ped and that's going to bang. I've seen two crap dogs thrown together produce amazing dogs, and I've seen two great dogs thrown together and they all come out terrier. Did you do the genetics research? Did you look at the, not you know not just what is complemented here, but are you actually breeding for something, towards something? That's the difference. So hopefully you guys do listen to at least that part of this episode and see 20 years down the road. That's where the true magic's going to happen.
Right. When you look at mostly all the extreme style dogs, you see muscle on top of muscle on top of muscle. Is it all genetics, or can you share some workout tips and exercises that someone may use for building muscle on an extreme style bully?
I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but it's all genetics. It's all genetics. I mean, you can take um, you can take a Ronnie Coleman who was a cop and turned into a professional bodybuilder. You know, with a lot of tren and a lot of deca and a lot of testosterone. Yeah, of course you can do that. Can you do that with a dog? Sure, Bob. I'm sure there's a way you could go about doing it, but it's genetics. You can make the muscle and the joints better with exercise. You can make the muscle more defined with exercise, but you're not going to get your dog ripped by feeding it a raw diet, working it out 30 minutes twice a day, 3 days a week. You're not. It's got to come from the genetics first. Then you build upon that. And that's one thing I really did want to say in this interview. People do not realize, but your bullies' joints do not set until they're 8 to 10 months old. It's rubber. It's just like a human baby. So you put in all this protein and all this raw in their diet, you're going to create hip dysplasia. You're going to create hip or elbow problems before the growth plates are even sealed. Pay attention to your pups and their blood, and trust me when I tell you, don't add more protein on their diet than they need for the first 8 to 10 months. It's not going to change anything. It's really not.
Yeah, I had a previous guest on here, Trig the Bully, and he touched on that as well. He was saying that a lot of these defects that's in these dogs is not the dog, it's the owners. The
Absolutely.
things they doing, to the dog,
Yeah.
and like you just said, like stop thinking you got to put all of this dine and all of this other
Oh
stuff
my
on the
God.
food and all of this other stuff
No.
to be. See, the problem, I think everybody want this bully dog right out the gate. They want to take these pictures of their pups looking all big and chunky and all of this, and they don't realize you hurting that dog, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Papa Pitt has said it before. I've said it on numerous pod or lives, but if you want to look at your puppies, look at their structure only. That's all a puppy can tell you. Even at 8 weeks old, it barely is telling you this much. I mean, infinitesimal. It's not comparative to what you're going to see out of that dog at 6 months, 10 months, when you can actually see something. So the puppy puzzle is a video. The Hastings approach, the puppy puzzle, is a video on YouTube. I highly recommend everybody goes and checks that out. You're looking at a breeding couple, the Hastings, that bred for 30 years, worked with the university, worked with veterinarians around the globe to try and put this together on how do you pick a keeper. Highly recommend watching that video. Very, very highly.
Speaking on that, if you when you get ready to maybe pick a keeper puppy out of a litter, what are some of the deciding factors that you looking for that make you decide on which puppy you're gonna keep?
For me, for my directional vision right now is changed from what was a deciding factor 2 years ago. 2 years ago, I was looking at chest and shoulders. Now I'm looking at rear and top line. So it's a different direction now based on what I think my camp needs moving forward. So right now for me, it is the rear, the top line, the angulation, uh, and the hawks, and that's what we're looking at right now
Right. So it
moving
sound
forward.
it sound like you working towards that complete bull, man. That's what it sound like. Um,
I want the extreme to never miss leg day.
right, 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 right. Um, for someone thinking about maybe owning an extreme bully,
Mm.
if you had to give an estimate, what what is the monthly upkeep cost, and kind of break down what that cost is?
Monthly for one, I couldn't even tell you.
What are you looking at? I know
I, I,
you
I
own
look,
multiple
yeah,
dogs,
I'm looking. I
but
know,
you
I
know,
know monthly what it costs us to operate 14 dogs minimum. 14 dogs minimum for us is around 4,600 a month.
wow,
But that's food. That's
wow,
grooming. That's a little different for us. We have a rather large building, not as big as I want yet, but it's getting there. Um, but food, medical upkeep for one dog, I wouldn't say it would. $70 a bag for an extreme bully. Yeah, you shouldn't be more than probably $800 a month. I think for one bull.
right, right. So you roughly spending almost 50,000 a year or
Over,
more,
over, yeah,
50 to 60 thousand
over,
dollars a year more on
yeah.
upkeep.
And we've made choices as far as our dogs that you know don't have to be made by everyone. We go to Animal Clinic Northview, um, which is definitely on the higher end scale of veterinaries here, but they are the best repro vet in the state of Ohio. They know their stuff. They've been doing it for 45 years. Um, we only feed in Nookshook. We mix in a little, not raw, but we blend in cottage cheese for the casein protein at nighttime. They do get Origins 3 days a week. It's just what I found works for us. Puppies get Billjack, Nuvet, um, after mush. Um, that's what works for us. That's where we've seen the best results. So right now, that's what we're doing.
Right. You mentioned Zach Robbins and Trapzilla earlier. Um, he has been making a lot of noise over this
Whew,
past year. I mean,
whew,
like a lot of noise.
a lot of noise.
What's your thoughts on Trapzilla?
I've seen firsthand, got to put my hands on. He's a complete bull, and he's producing every single litter his look or better. Um, which Zach and I talk quite a lot. So I think it's the beginning of a dynasty for them. I really do. I really do. He's got so many productions to pick from. He's having a hard time deciding who he's going to bring out next. I mean, that's for most of us, that's the ideal goal. Is, well, I don't know. I mean, this one's got a better top line, but this one's got better, what gait. I mean, you
Right.
can't really. I think Trapzilla has done, what here lately at least. I think Trap is on pace for the Golden Child. Next up. if you would. But it remains to be seen. It really does. But I think Zach's doing a phenomenal job of promotion, of touring, of making sure everybody gets to see Trapper, because I do think he is a very complete bull that just gives you himself or better every time.
All right. A lot of guests when I have them on the show, whether they breed exotics, pocket standards, XLs, Frenchies. I like to ask them, this particular question. So I know you in the extreme bully style dog round. Who are some of your best extreme dogs in the game right now?
Oh, okay. This is the one. All right. Right now, right, I gotta do Trapzilla. I gotta say, Color Bullies, Bear Stock. I love that boy. One that I personally love is a Nemesis son that Slavy Bernilov owns, which is Dracula, Muscletone's Dracula. I love that boy. I love his look, his structure. There's three. Um, extreme style. I definitely got to still say Cowboy, Golden Child son. Um, he throws it just like Trapper all the time. And R2G2 still up there. R2G2 still up there, still producing. So as far as the extreme style, I think you know there's a good exemplary package there. Um, you know, the other without being able to name Fuji, so I can't put him in my top five, but I'm a little partial. So
Right. Um, Speaking of Fuji,
yeah,
that's a stud that you got over there right
mhm,
now working, correct?
yeah,
Um, is he open for stud right now?
yes.
And what's his stud fee if somebody wanted to reach out and use him?
He's at 3,500 lock in.
Okay, how could somebody get in contact with you or reach you if they wanted to use him?
Well, there's Facebook is Wade Elliot, two L's, two T's. Um, Instagram is LBC Ohio. You can Google Legendary Bully Camp. My phone number is literally everywhere around the world, so it's 330-805-6908, and I answer it 24/7. So there's all the ways you can get a hold of me.
All right. Um, do you think that the extreme style American Bully is the nearest thing to the ABKC written standard for the American Bully?
I absolutely do, because as far as I know, based on history, the standard was written off of an extreme bully. Um, but yet there's not a class.
All right.
So, I mean, look at the last four winners. The last four nationals winners have been bulkier standards.
Right. So do you feel like, the standard class is actually the extreme class?
I won't.
Or should it be?
It should be. It should be, if you ask me. Of course, I think the standard should be the extreme bully, but the standard to go with history, it should be a taller than a pocket extreme. But where do we set those parameters? Like I said, the original standard was that 16-inch extreme overdone features that was written off of a muscle tone dog.
Right.
So that being said, shouldn't the standard very well be an extreme class? And look at shows. You look at the recent turn in both whatever registry you want to bring to the table. It doesn't matter. But the people and the dogs that are coming out, and if you're on Facebook at all, of course, if you're on Instagram at all, nobody's looking at a classic to breed to. Everybody wants this bull to look like a bull. I don't want there to be a separation from the back of the skull to the shoulders. It should just be neck. It should just be a perfect Y. That's where the community has gone with it, because that's what they want. That's what we love to see in our bulls. Is listen, if I could figure out how to make a Brahma bull into a bully, I'd do it.
Right. In your opinion, why after all these years do we still have so many different looks of dogs within the same breed of dog?
Um, because I think because when people find out, the American Bully was created by crossbreeding, and it's such a young breed, people are more apt to be, in the lab and make their own creations. Like this is something, this is, it's very touchy because I don't want to say it's almost a God complex, but it's being able to create something and call it your own. It's an amazing accomplishment. It's an amazing feat. And it's something that man hasn't had a lot of tools to be able to do that as far as breeding wise goes. Because most of your purebreds, a lot of breeders don't know this, but it only takes 3 generations. If you bred the same blood for 3 generations, the American Pit Bull Terrier would take out all the Staffy and any bulldog or anything else that's in there. That's how strong those genes are. 3 generations, you're back to having American Pit Bull Terriers. That's all. So to be able to create an exotic or even a micro, that's a big deal. And why we have so many of these looks, because there's a market for everything. This is a vision this guy saw. This is a vision these people saw. Well, guess what? There's a lane for both of them, and to prosper too. You know, I don't think we're done seeing them. I mean, obviously, this year we now have hairless.
Right, right. Hairless, fluffy, all type of different things. Right, right.
Do what you want. Do what you want. That's not my vision. That's it. If that's your vision, cool. Run with it. That's not mine.
The thing though is like, far as like, everybody got a vision, which is fine and that's acceptable. But my thing, and if 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 we are calling these certain dogs, an exotic or American bully or XL bully or whatever the case is, or a Frenchie, if you're gonna call it that, then let's just use what we already have and
Right.
move forward with that. Don't take an exotic bully and then breed it to whatever else you feel like you want to breed it to, then bring it out and still call this an exotic bully. It's not an exotic
Right.
bully anymore.
No.
Call it whatever you want to call it now, because it's not this. It don't
No.
look like this. So that's where the problem come in at, I think.
It does. It does because they like for instance, I saw a dog came to my kennel the other day that was uh, supposed to be this blood, right? And 4 times of this blood, but it's a pink coated fluffy bully. Now, you're going to tell me there's no French in there?
Right.
Because there's no way, right? You would think science says otherwise, but I had a litter of 6 last week or 2 weeks ago, where I pulled a great great grandparent phenotype, the
Right.
only pied in 2 pedigrees in the fourth generation. In the fourth generation, came out in my litter. Well, scientifically, that's like a 4% chance. Oh, it came out once, not once, but twice. I got 2 pies in that litter. And the only pied dog in that pedigree is in the fourth generation. So on a 4% chance, I got 2. Okay, it does happen. But where these people get confused on keeping something solid, like you're saying, is that there's never going to be one standard. Like AKC, UKC, they allow the American Pit Bull Terrier because if you say Doberman, you know exactly what you're getting. If you say Burmese Dom Dom, you know exactly what you're getting. If you say Black Lab, you know exactly what you're getting. But if you say American Bully, well, wait a minute. What class? Well, you can say the same thing about Dobermans. You've got miniature Dobermans. You've got
Right.
blue Dobies. We've got blue bulls. We've got lilac bulls. But we've got 5 different classes of them. And furthermore with the exotics and the micros. it's not going to be anything solid for a few hundred years until the gene pool is so tight that it is what it is. But I think we're going to see a lot more variations before that happens.
Do you think DNA testing can help push along this
Absolutely.
further and faster?
Absolutely. But the thing is we need to have larger pools. You know, if there's 3,000 breeders that submit their dogs to embark for DNA testing, that pool, let's say you've got 3,000 dogs. But if we've got 30,000 breeders that don't submit and they're out here doing this outcross and this outcross and this outcross before one client finally sends in a DNA test, well, that's one example, but we have no idea where the 7 generations behind it came from. We only have this pool to judge off of. So we need more people to do more testing so that we have a larger pool to go from and we can be able to identify these traits and characteristics a lot more specifically.
Now, I mean, far as you know, DNA testing with the registries,
Oh, with the
far as like,
registries?
yeah,
Oh,
far,
that's.
far as if you
Do you know?
breeding a dog, right?
Mhm.
You got a male, a sire, and you got a dam. In order to breed, in order to get paperwork for that litter of puppies, both parents need to be DNA profiled, and the registry need to have that DNA there, or wherever they keep it at.
Mhm.
Just to alleviate, like you just said, all of the outcrossing and adding and
Mhm.
this, that, and the third, and people don't know what's going on, and that's why all of these different variations and colors and styles and looks popping up in the breed.
So, so there's first. Let me say this: in order for that to happen, a registry or a yes, a registry or a DNA testing facility would have to invest millions to be able to combine the two. Because let us just call a spade a spade. The ABKC, the BRC, nobody is combining forces or seeing a place of common ground where we will let you DNA test our dogs for a fee that we get a part of. It's $108 for a breeder's kit through Embark DNA. It's, let's say, if you pay for the 2-day FedEx, it's $85 to register your pup. So you're already out $200 on getting your dog tested and your papers. If ABKC sends that DNA off, they're going to charge you extra for doing so. They're going to charge you storage. They're going to charge you the same thing because, well, it's time is money. So how much time is it going to take us to collect your dog's DNA, send it out, get it back, the same thing, and the same inconvenience that it takes you, 5 to 7 weeks to get your DNA results back. Well, now you just extended that because now it goes through one party onto the lab and wants to say it's not tampered with in the meantime. Sending it straight to the lab is your best process, but getting them to combine forces, I do see as the future of being able to isolate these things. Being is that even if you have a dog over a year old and you lose the pup card, you can get mom's registration number, dad's registration number, and you send a front shot and a side shot of the dog, and the ABKC will register it. How do I prove that dog came from that litter and they didn't actually lose the pup card? Because I have 2 numbers and 2 pictures.
You can get numbers and pictures anywhere. You can get numbers and pictures just off previous breedings you might have did with somebody before or something like that. Who knows?
So I think the only way this becomes a more formidable, um, just a more formidable way to identify is, yes, all the parents and offspring should be DNA profiled before they're given a registration number. It's the only true way to guarantee
All right, but like you said,
it.
it's gonna
But
be very, very costly.
who's got the money to do that?
And
And there could be somebody coming. It could be.
it's unfortunate though that we gotta even have that kind of conversation. How many other breeds of dogs are, doing that right now where, they sending in DNA and all of this and that and third and,
Well, those breeds have been around for hundreds of years, and if you look, most French breeders will tell you if you want to use an AKC stud, most of the AKC Frenchy people won't talk to ABKC Frenchy people because it's not pure enough blood. They don't want their blood tainted. Now, is that, that's how they feel? Okay.
yeah, it's a lot of back and forth right now
Mm-hmm.
amongst Frenchy breeders. They
Mm-hmm.
kind of, feel like they feel the same way, as American Pit Bull Terrier
Yeah.
breeders used to feel, when the
Mm-hmm.
American Bully first came around and they was using the name
Yeah.
Pit Bull. So, a lot of Frenchie breeders, they feeling that way right now, like, calling these dogs Frenchies. And
Right.
so,
Right.
um, how important is good marketing if you want to be a successful breeder in 2024?
Absolutely critical. Absolutely critical. I'm not saying that it's not going to, bring you the bank, but it is. Your following, your support, your network. Yeah, you see it online all the time. Your network is your net worth. Show me the 5 people closest to you. I pretty much tell you where you'll be in 5 years.
Right, right,
Um, your marketing is basically the same thing. Show me your social media presence. I'll tell you where you'll be at the end of the year. Can you fix that? Sure. Uh, some people will say, it only takes one dog to change your life. Those one hit wonders don't stick around forever.
right.
They have to be able to produce results, not just in the ring, not just on the stack stage, but they have to be able to be bred and produce results to be a quote unquote stud dog. If you're producing quality dogs that, you know, we care about, we take the time, we do the testing, and they demand a price. I cannot tell you how many times we see the same thing. Quality costs. Um, on an average, a litter, you're in $6,500 to $8,000 just on a litter. That's if you don't pay for a stud fee. If you do, obviously that number goes to $10,000 to $12,000 on a litter. Raising them, whelping them, getting all the testing done, paying for the C-section, etc. So if you expect me to produce a litter at $10,000 and sell you a $2,000 dog online, you're out of your mind. Now, your social media, your networking, you have to, you really have to just flood it. You really just, there's 10,000 videos and people that'll tell you there's an algorithm and post at 7 a.m., post at 9 a.m., post at 11 a.m., post at 1 p.m., post at 5 p.m., post at 7 p.m., post at 1 a.m. in the morning because that's when third shift people or second shift people get off. It's all BS. It's all BS. The more professional you make your dog look, the more banners you have with different angles, pictures. Obviously, everybody's on the Photoshop kick, but getting professional pictures done. Um, James Abba, um, Brittany Hahn, people that refuse to Photoshop, they won't do it even if you ask and offer to pay them to do it. It's not going to happen. You want your dog shown behind a great lens. You want your dog put out there as many times and shared as many times as possible. So your network is your net worth when it comes to a social media presence.
Right. Like, a lot of people, they get into this dog thing, and I spoke on this before on another show where they might feel like, if they come to a breeder like you who already got a name for themselves and you already, got big name dogs and things like that, a large following, they think, if they come get a puppy from you, maybe get a puppy from another prestigious breeder, and they breed those two dogs together, that they're going to be able to sell their dogs for $10,000, $15,000. But what they fail to realize is nobody knows you.
No,
Nobody knows who you are.
no, and
So
they're not going to trust that product either.
exactly, man. So I think marketing is something. If you are a breeder and you want to sell, whatever dogs, that you're not gonna keep and things like that, you gotta kind of get in the game with, like you said, getting quality pictures done. Even if you got a little bit of money, maybe hiring somebody, that's in the marketing and doing marketing and things like that to, help build your brand and push your brand forward before you start thinking you could sell dogs for 10 and 15 and $20,000.
Yeah, that's a far cry. That is a far cry. Um, you know, if you take a look at the other markets of dogs, like um, you see people selling French poodles, right? I don't know if that's an actual breed. I'm just saying. You, you see people selling poodles. Okay, they're showing a lifestyle. They're selling a experience, right? That's what you need to look for. Is the same thing with the bullies. You're selling a lifestyle. You're selling a experience, but you're selling a quality product behind that. All of our dogs come with a 2-year health guarantee. A lot of people don't do that and can't. Um, those are things that you have to look at when you are marketing. Put these dogs on a nice white fluffy blanket in front of the fireplace. They look all cute and cuddly, but 6 months from now, you've got 4 of them coming back with skin problems because you didn't educate the client.
Right.
There's so much to this, guys. There's so much to this. You really, really, as far as marketing and thinking you can put those dogs out there, it's not just matching up two bloods and this litter is going to be fire. It's not. That's not what it is. Don't believe everything on social media. Please, please stop believing everything on social media.
What are some of the, success that comes along with this, American Bully breed dog game? But also, touch on some of the struggles that come with this American Bully breed of dog, so that, people that's just now getting involved with this dog community can kind of get an understanding on what's going on.
So some of the benefits. A lot of my Instagram posts, where you can do the hashtags. Dog spelled backwards is God for a reason. So the benefits of breeding are, dogs can literally change your vibe if you're having a bad day. DMX said it. I trust animals way more than I trust people. I will trust my dog way more than I will ever trust a person because that dog, good, bad, or indifferent, no matter if I had to swat him on the head for pissing on my rug earlier in the day, 10 minutes later he still wants love. He still wants to please you. Dogs are amazing, man. I mean, we really truly do not deserve them. That's the number one benefit from being a breeder is bringing that joy and that companionship to other families around the world, giving them a lifelong companion that they might live 12, 14 years, but you're their best friend every day they're alive. The only person they want to be around is you. There's no better feeling than that, in my opinion. Struggles, you're never, ever going to beat Mother Nature. Accept it now. Don't think of it as a defeat every time something goes wrong. There's a multitude and a myriad of things that you cannot, no matter how hard you try, trust me, no matter how hard you try, you cannot foresee, you cannot prepare for. It just happens. Fading puppy syndrome is probably the worst thing outside of, God forbid, parvo that I've ever seen or witnessed in this game. There's no reason, no right rhyme, wrong way. There's nothing you can do to fix it. There's some homeopathic ways. There's some, medicines that can stop it from going through the rest of the litter. I haven't found them. Um, I've been told that give them this and the rest of them should be fine. Still lose two more.
Right.
It just happens, guys. It's just the mother nature. You're never going to beat it. You're never going to get over it. So don't try. Just don't beat yourself up, basically. If you're going to be in this, take it with a grain of salt. Move on.
All right. With dogs getting sick and things like that right now. What do you do far as like disinfecting and sanitizing around your yard to keep the germs and diseases down?
So I have a pesticide guy that specializes in animal sprays that are safe for your dogs. Does a lot of farms. I mean, covers a big portion of the state, so Alien Pest Control helps out there. Inside the kennel, bleach and wishy wash, everything, everything. Wishy wash, I will swear by. Bleach, of course, I will swear by. As long as you've got enough, airflow, the dogs can be outside, etc. That stuff will make them sick, just like us. Too much exposure. So, don't douse your kennel area in bleach, and then with your dogs in the same area. They've got to be outside breathing while you clean. Stuff like that is I've seen people do it. They get bleach poisoning from splashing into the water. Well, why didn't you change the water after you cleaned? Because I changed the water before I cleaned. Do we not see a problem here?
Right, right, right.
Um, but as far as cleanliness goes, I mean, stainless steel is the easiest thing. Lysol. If you've never looked on the back of a Lysol wipes bottle, you're supposed to let it dry for 7 minutes to actually be disinfected, not spray it on and wipe it off.
Right,
Read the directions.
right.
Make sure you know what you're using and how it's applicated, how to apply it, its application process. But the standard stuff. I not a big fan of kennel Sol. Some people are. I prefer wishy wash for its ease of use, and the scent is you can't tell I've got 14 dogs in my building. You don't smell it, and it doesn't smell like bleach either. So those are my go tos.
Um, what are maybe some advice for people who maybe things they could do before they take their dog out of the yard, and maybe something they could do when they bringing their dog back to the yard?
Absolutely. Before you take your dog out or in the general public, of course, you want to make sure its vaccinations are up to date. You know, um, it's not like you shouldn't be going to a dog show with a wagon full of puppies who've only had one set of parvo shots. Come on now, come on now, be better, please. You when you get home from a dog show, when we get home from a dog show, everything is stripped down from the vehicle outside of the garage. Everything is wiped down, sprayed down, and let dry. The dogs are basically the same. I mean, they're washed up, they're dried up, they're washed again. We wash them at least twice before we put them back, or bring them back around other dogs. Um, Ourselves, my wife and I, my niece Denise, our kennel worker, our dog whisperer. Shout out Denise, love you, girl. Everybody strips all your clothes going in the bag, garbage bag, tie it up. It all gets washed separately. Um, you know, Wipe off with some dude wipes or Lysol wipes and dude wipes, dry it off, and everybody runs to a shower. But that's our protocol when we come home from shows. Is everything gets basically like what we call a delicing. It just the car gets freaking wiped out, everything vacuumed out, everything, anything that could potentially transfer on to anybody else in the camp gets cleaned before it goes back around any of the dogs.
All
So
right,
the coming home from the show is definitely way more important a process for us.
right, right. You don't want to bring nothing back. But before we get out of here, I want to touch on this. You mentioned that you started off previously breeding XLs, correct? Um, this is something that I keep hearing around in the XL community, that the XLs are lacking quote unquote breed type. Um, is it something you think that could be done to bring in more breed type to the XL bully?
Not without a severe outcross to bring more of the bull characteristics. There's nothing, everything for us as the bully community that is bullier is shorter. Well, when you stretch that out too much, somehow or another, yes, it waters down a little. Now, uh, you look at Brazilla, you look at Good Bar, you look at um, Juggernaut, you look at the XLs from before. I mean, those were 19-inch dogs. Well, now 19 is the standard for a female XL. So I think the standards, yeah, I think our numbers are a little off as far as the height goes and the requirements for that. But I do think there's a plethora of people out there who are going from one extreme to the next. Either you've got a 200 pound, 23-inch dog that's half slop, or you've got a 130-pound dog that has no bone, a 5-finger muzzle, and no chest. So we're going from one extreme to the next, and I think that's where we're kind of stuck in limbo in the XLs. Everybody knows I went out to Trans to see Lion King Mountain, and I still have a Lion King daughter. I still have two other XL females. Um, I don't know where or what yet, but there's a couple things planned out to see if we can bring that breed type back in. Um, but I don't believe so without either A, finding some old school XL blood that is still somehow pretty close to pure, or by another way of outcross that makes that bull appearance there.
Right at that height and
Right,
still
right,
keep that height.
right, right. I don't like producing reindeer. I like producing a bully. That's why we're in this. So the XL game for me, it needs to be honed in more. And I'm still in the lab. I'm still trying to figure that out myself. So I hope if somebody finds a nice recipe, let us know the secret sauce. But for myself right now, I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to go, you know, I don't want to go the way of a severe outcross, like an oldie bulldoggy or something. Then we bring in some health issues that we weren't already dealing with. So I don't know if that plays a part down the road. Maybe it's a lot of stuff remains to be seen. But we're definitely in the lab. We're definitely trying to figure something
Right. It's been a pleasure, man, sitting down with you. This
out.
has
Absolutely,
been an incredible interview. Hopefully, we can get you back on the show at another date and discuss some other topics.
for
It's
sure.
been a pleasure. Let people know once again, the date for the dog show and how they can get in contact with you.
Absolutely. So LBC's Judgment Day 20K stack off, also the 10K micro stack off, September 21st, Akron, Ohio, Summit County Fairgrounds. I believe it's 229 East Howe Road. Doors will open at 10 a.m., 9 a.m. Doors will open at 9 a.m. Shows will start at 11 noonish. We'll get everybody in there. There will be early setup on Friday, I believe from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. So booth holders, you guys can get in there, get your tents and everything set up. So if you need to get a hold of us, Facebook is Wade Elliot. Also, Legendary Bully Camp on Facebook is the business page. Instagram is LBC Ohio. And my cell phone is 330-805-6908. It's usually the best way to get a hold of me. Email is pretty long, but it's legendarybullycampohio@gmail.com. Any method of those, phones on 24/7. If you got a bull, you better be there September 21st for your shot at 20 grand. We got the fun show. And trust me, stay tuned, stay tuned. We still have more announcements coming for you guys throughout the year. One, hopefully next week, that I think is going to shake things up, make everybody really happy. And thank you so much for the opportunity to be here, man.
No, thank you. And we put up a post maybe 2, 3 days ago on our YouTube page. So, It's a picture of the flyer, and all of the information for the show is in that post as well. So, if you guys want to head over to the YouTube channel and look at the post, you can find all of his contact info in that post as well. Allied Bullies TV, and we out of here like yesterday.
This episode of Allied Bullies TV is being brought to you by K9 Super Supplements Puppy Formula. This awesome supplement contains green tripe, goat's milk, biotin, along with 6 other ingredients to promote growth and development, support immunity, digestive health, bone health, and also skin and coat health. Head on over to K9supersupplements.com today and grab yours.